sound is a bit distant. Can you?
What about now? Can you hear me now?
It's better. It's still a bit distant.
It's still a bit distant. Okay. Please hold on. Let me connect my speaker.
Okay.
Power on.
Okay, can you hear me better now?
Yeah, it's better.
Okay. Hello, everyone. Good evening, and thank you for
Yeah,
having me.
it's our pleasure.
Yeah, so I'll be sharing my screen so we can get right to it. Can you see my screen now?
Yeah, it's presently.
Okay. All right. Okay, good evening, everyone. My name is Flora Oladipupo. I am a Nigerian and I am a data scientist and also an AI researcher. And I work mainly with natural language processing, which is NLP. So today I'll be taking us on the topic from design to market workshop, the team, and focusing mainly on NLP. So that will be what my talk is on today. So without further ado, let's dig in. So what is NLP? NLP, the full meaning is natural language processing, and this is something you would find in AI. So it's a broad field in artificial intelligence, and um, NLP is very, very important because it's actually a aspect of AI that enables the computer to read, interpret, generate, and interact using human language. So that is, you are giving your computer the power to act like a human. Some of the characteristics of human is being able to talk, is being able to understand things, is being able to generate things, is being able to interact. So basically, that is what NLP is doing. It's the language part of a computer that enables your computer to be able to read, to be able to interpret, generate things, interact like a human being. So be it by text, by interacting with you through text or through speech. So basically, that's just what sums up NLP. So why NLP? Why is it important? NLP is important because now in recent technology, we are moving at a fast pace. With recent technology now, we are trying to convert the world's text and voice data into actionable insights that can improve accessibility. It also unlock new products, especially in local languages. We have evolved from the from the point where what computer understands is just zeros and one to a much more complex state in which computer is now interacting with us using our interacting with us using familiar language, and even now it has gone further. It is now interacting with us using our local languages. I'm sure most of the time when we interact with our computer, we are interacting with our computer um, based on use of high resource languages like English language. Now, NLP is going deeper than that. It's taking our regular text, our regular voice data, the language you speak um, as an individual, like your cultural language, and it's turning it into actionable insight, things that can be used. NLP can now tell stories in your native language and not just read just English text for you. It can help you out in customer services, interacting with you in your local language. So that is where NLP is going. And that is why it is very, very important because when we look at AI, when we are looking at AI, we want AI to be able to come down to a regular level in which it's not just certain people that has access to it or find it beneficial, but everyone finds it beneficial. That's why NLP is very important. So now the crux of this is we are turning language into a product that delights users, whether you speak Swahili, speak Yoruba, speak Afrikaans, any language, it is now accessible to everyone. It's not just for a certain category of people, but for everyone. So that is where we are heading to. And we actually find some of this use case in some product that we see now. You interact with ChatGPT, for example, on like a daily basis, and you chat with it. It gives you it gives you responses that looks like it's a human that is responding to you. It can give you voice outputs and the likes. So that is where we are heading to, and that's why NLP is very important. So NLP is what powers up these technologies that you see everywhere, in which your phone, for example, can give you a voice output. Your computer can interact with you on a normal level as if it's a human that is interacting with you. It's all powered by NLP. So moving on, what are the common NLP tasks and real world use cases we see or that is available? We have text or intent classification. So I am a Nigerian, but I'm trying to relate with everyone on this call based on it being an Ethiopian um, event. So as I'm making use of Ethiopian samples. So for example, an Ethiopian telecommunication company mean utilize NLP in their help desk to automatically route speakers of Amharic and English language to the right agent. So now we don't have to call a customer care, like call a customer care and you're speaking Amharic. But meanwhile, the agent doesn't speak Amharic and they now have to look for the right agent who actually use can speak Amharic. But instead, based on its asking you what your name is and you are responding to them in Amharic, it can immediately route you to that agent who actually speak Amharic and route you to an agent who speak English language. So that's one of the things NLP can do. It actually serves as a text classifier. So another way we see NLP is usage is in sentiment analysis. So, what is sentiment analysis? Sentiment analysis means you are trying to decipher the sentiment of a person. Like, what does this person feel about this thing? Is the person angry? Is the person sad? Is the person happy? And it can be utilized in customer services. So, An example, a fintech dashboard may actually be looking at products or product reviews. Maybe a platform actually use Telegram to get reviews of their customer. So when a customer who is angry or unsatisfied with their service say something or put up a text that is not showing happiness or satisfaction for a product, NLP can detect that and pick it up, and they know that okay, something is wrong. These people are not satisfied with this our service. That is another good use case for NLP that most industry utilize nowadays, because you know when you leave these things to a human, not everyone may actually pick up these things, because for example you are using Telegram to collect feedback. A human agent may miss when a negative feedback is dropped, or it can even be scattered all over the internet, and you may most likely miss it because it may not be your platform. But imagine having utilizing NLP to scrape the entire internet looking for your product reviews, and it is able to pick it up that, oh, people in this region are not happy with our product, people in this region seem to be very very happy with our product. So those kind of feedback are good, and that's what NLP can help to do. So another use case and common NLP task is name entity recognition. So name entity recognition actually help capture certain details in um in maybe documents, in text. It can help you pick up details. So for example, you are trying to get your customer detail. So you're trying to get your customer detail based on maybe their ID card they submitted, and you don't want to be manually writing out this. You don't want to manually write down their names, their the region they came from, or whatever detail is on the card, maybe a driver license. You don't want to manually write it down. NLP can help pick this up through a technique called name entity recognition. It's recognized entities. So those entities you want to always pick up in your businesses, it can help you pick it up. So another use case is machine translation. So machine translation, we actually see it's being utilized a lot because, for example, you could be in a country, in a new country, maybe as an Ethiopian, you travel to a country like Senegal or Togo. I don't know if you guys speak French in Ethiopia, but maybe you are an English speaking country. Imagine you travel to a country where they don't speak a language you understand. NLP can come to your head there, in which you speak into a machine translator application, and you tell it to translate to the country's language. So, for example, you speak Amharic into maybe a Google Translate, and tell it translate it to French because they speak French in Senegal, and it translates it to French, and you just let the person you are trying to communicate to listen to it, and they understand what you're trying to say. So it solved that language barrier problem. That's another use case for NLP that it's very important that we see being utilized. Then another is summarization. So sometimes, even as students, there are sometimes we get you can get courses from your lecturer or a textbook, and you can't read it all at once. What do? You can use a summarizer. Like, for example, you can feed in a whole lot of reports into your chat GPT and tell it summarize and give me a one-page summary of this. And with that, it gives you the key points that you need to understand. Or even these are note takers. I can see a lot of note takers in this meeting. So that's what it's doing as well. It's taking summary and taking notes of the meeting details, and it can come and give you the everything that went on in the meeting by the time you are ready to look at it. So that is another use case of NLP. So this is not limited to this, but these are like the most common and prominent NLP task that we see that is being utilized in real world. So, moving on, go to the next slide. Okay, I thought I was done with that. So there is also another, which is the question answering. So question answering can come in form of a chat bot. So basically, it answers question for you based on the data you put into it. You may be running a business, and you are not available to run the business 24/7, and sometimes customer may need to know details about the business you are running, or it could be a school portal or something, and you are not available all the time. You can feed in data into your NLP product, and it knows that, okay, this is the answer to this question when asked. So for example, a university chatbot that answers when does registration close, you don't have to keep on typing it. A human agent don't have to keep on answering that over and over again. So when a student or when anybody asks that question, it immediately supplies them the answer. This is when it closes. So there is also dialogue management, and also is also similar to question answering, but this is just chatbot. So chatbot can go extend beyond just question answering. So for example, you may have experienced it, in which you go to a website in the night and a bot just appears and says, I am here to help you, what do you want? So, and you can ask it any question. So, and it answers to the best of its knowledge until maybe you tell it that you need to speak to a human agent, then it refers you to a human agent. So NLP actually powers these chatbots, and the most popular chatbots that we see is our ChatGPT, Gemini. There are also forms of chatbot that you get to ask or talk to it, interact with it. You may not necessarily just ask a question, but basically interactions, and have dialogue with this chatbot. So another is automatic speech recognition or text to speech. So there are some product that we see, voice banking application that allow customers to speak instructions, speak things in whatever language. You can speak in Pidgin, Amharic, French, and it's actually so basically you can ask a question and it can give you this output back also in speech, not necessarily text. So this can help people who are visually impaired or people who can't see text, because it is answering you in speech as well. Or you can even type text into it and it gives you in speech. So basically ASR is for speech. So what I'm trying to say is NLP is not just text based, but also for the speech aspect of it, it is also helpful. So, moving on now, why does NLP matter for Africa? This is one aspect I'm very, very interested in, and this is one aspect one of my research actually overs around. So there is a huge language gap in Africa. So when you see these products that are being churned out, this NLP product that are being churned out, you notice something is popular languages that are outside of Africa that are being shipped into these products. When you use Google Translate, um, you use ChatGPT, you use Gemini, the language they are always speaking to you is English. Then some goes to Spanish, some French. So those high resource languages, we classify those as high resource languages. The languages that are really prominent in those products are high resource languages. Now, if this is constantly happening, if those languages are being seen, what about our own African language, which we speak by ourselves? What about it? How who is going to ship those products for us? We are the one that are going to ship it for us, because the truth is, a white man living in America speaking English is not a Amharic speaker. Okay, maybe he just knows Amharic, but that is not his core language. So that is not something he would be looking at. So basically, we are the ones, Africans are the ones who are going to build this product and ship it out for use. So it's only a fraction of the global NLP that understands this our low resource languages like Amharic, Yoruba, Hausa, Afar. The other languages that are being shipped in this period are high resource languages. So um so when you even see the recent product being shipped by Google in 2024, out of 110 of these languages, only a quarter of them are African. And when you even look at it, aside from a quarter of it being African, the coverage and the quality is thin. Like my research I did on in Pidgin, I noticed that there was still like a lot of deficits. There was a lot of things in Pidgin that was not so, it was not actually correct. So we are the ones who are actually going to build and ship this product ourselves, even though we want quality products for these our languages. So now there's the moment to actually start building is now. There have never been a better moment for African founders and technology to ship these NLP products. And the truth is that these NLP products are needed because we are millions and millions of us in Africa who speak these languages. So imagine building a product you are selling, maybe you built an e-commerce product and your e-commerce product is able to speak like over 30 African languages. That means your product is meant for people in a wide range, like people who are going to access your platform and they see that wow, this speak my language, I can interact with this platform very well. Like this creates that let's create that relationship that oh, this is a platform that understand me, this is a good customer to patronize, that I can do business with, that kind of thing. So language is actually very 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 important. So there is no better moment than to actually start shipping these NLP products in your regular products in your website, adding this product to it. It actually changes the whole game for you as an African founder. So moving on. Now I just want to explain, I want to go into like some of the nitty-gritties of NLP. So we've talked about the importance, we've seen how relevant it is. Now, what are the things that you can find in this NLP that makes up NLP? So one of the core thing in help NLP when you want to start working hands-on with NLP is tokenization. So tokenization is there to help you chop your text. So when you want to start working on an NLP project, you know you are dealing with text, you're bringing text to your computer. So your computer does not, or your AI model that you want to use does not understand this text. Like it does not understand it as a sentence and whole. So you need to pre-process your text into something that is understandable for this model that you want to work with. So tokenization is one of the first thing or first step that you need, is a common term that you need to understand in NLP. So tokenization means to chop your text. What is chopping your text? You are breaking your text into chunks. You are dividing your text. So this sentence you can see, it says I love NLP with exclamation mark. Tokenization here is going to break this sentence into individual characteristics. So what I mean by characteristics, I is a characteristic here, love is a characteristic, NLP is a characteristic. Like it's breaking it into their individual character, basically. So and it has different level with which you can break your token. You can break at a word level, You can break at each individual alphabet level. And here now, you see, I love NLP exclamation. Exclamation here is also an individual on its own. That's why it is classified. You can see it here. So there are different levels with which you can break your text, your sentences. So also you can do it at a word level, like I said. You can do it at each character level. So this second part where you can see I in a double quote, then you can see space. You can see something that is not showing. That is actually a space. Between I and love, there's a space. So it's also a character. Then next, you can see L in love as a character on its own, O as a character. So on and on. There are different levels with which you can break your sentences in NLP. So, but basically, it all falls under tokenization. So, tokenization is the term basically. So, another term you need to understand in NLP is vectorization. So, now what is vectorization? It means turning your words into numbers. Remember the basics. Computers understand zeros and ones. So even in AI, computer still work with numbers. It works with numbers. So even when you are bringing in your text, still need to be turned into numbers that the model will understand. So vectorization is the process in which you turn your words into numbers. So which means all this tokenization you did, the I love NLP, you still have to change into numbers. So and these numbers is something that like this that you see here, like this 0.21, 0.54, blah blah blah. That is what your vector will look like at the end of the day. So vector, if you did mathematics, vectors are actually numbers, right? So that is it's still the same thing here. So a vector in mathematics is still the same vector that you are seeing in this your NLP, which is basically number representation of those your text. So now, in aside from vectorization, there's something called transformer embeddings. So now, transformer embeddings is also a vector, but now the difference between transformer embeddings and vector is that with transformer embeddings, there is a meaning in context. So, for example, in your normal vector, the river bank can be represented as 0.01. D can be represented as 0.01. River can be represented as 0.02. Bank can be represented as 0.03. It's just an arbitrary number. I'm just trying to create an example of what it looks like. So, but for transformer embeddings, before it is going to give a number, it is taken into cognizance context. So, context in what sense? Now, a king and a queen, they are related, right? Because a king is like the male version of a queen. I'm just using this to cite an example. So it means that the vectors or the embedding numbers will be similar. So if you look at the numbers here, you can see 0.21, comma 0.54. When you look at the queen, it's 0.22, comma 0.57. This is because they are related to each other. Now, if we were to use king and queen in vectorization, it may be totally different because it's not taking into the fact that these are things that are related. So with vectorization, it just randomly give number. When you think of vectorization, think of it as randomly assigning numbers to words. While in embeddings, it gives a context before it assigns those number. It looks at what is the relationship between this and this, so it makes it similar. Imagine if I bring a word called dog here, it will be totally apart. Like the figures that will be assigned to it will be totally apart from what he gave this king and queen, because dog is not related to king and queen. So basically, that's the difference between vectorization and transformer embeddings. Both of them are changing words to numbers, but vectorization is without context of what the word mean, while with embeddings, it takes into what context what the words mean if this word have a relationship. So so basically that's what the two terms is all about. So I'm going to stop here for the terms and terminology, because those are the most important terms and terminology to understand while dealing with NLP, like at a basic level. Those are things that you would find when you start working hands-on in NLP. So next, I want to talk about data. Data, because data is very, very important in NLP. Without your data, you cannot use your products that you're interested in building. So what what is your data? First of all, the data is what you need to build your NLP. And where do you get this data from? You can get the data from your social media posts. Remember when I cited the example of getting maybe negative reviews on a product? So you can get those from social media posts. Maybe you sell, maybe you own a platform, an e-commerce platform. For example, let me use Temu e-commerce platform, and you want to know people perception about your platform, if people like or they hate your platform. You can go to a social media page like Twitter, and do web scraping, scrape anything, any post related to Temu, and you run your NLP task on it to find out what people are saying about your platform. Are people saying good or bad things about it, and how you can translate this into doing something better that will make the customer experience better for these people. So that's why I said data is gold. Without data, you build nothing in NLP. Without data, in fact, without data, you build nothing in AI. So data is very, very important. And you can get data from social media posts. You can get data from support tickets. So maybe all the complaints people make, you are storing it in a database, for example, and you are taking in all of this data. You can also get data from news articles. So I remember there was a research I did on electoral violence in my country, Nigeria. My country is a country that is prone to having violence anytime electoral activities is happening, because everyone wants to be the president of the country. So then I had to then what I wanted to do was actually to find out areas that are prone to this electoral violence, so that the government can know beforehand and put security operatives in those areas. So what did I do? I went to the internet, and I went to a news platform, in fact, different news platform, and I scraped data relating to electoral processes for like 4 years, for a 4 years interval for my country. So after doing that, I was able to use name entity recognition to point out locations where this violence occurs, the kind of violence that took place, whether it was ballot snatching, whether it was killing, shooting. So I was able to create a database from that. And with that, I was able to further go on to create a map that shows the hotspot location where this violence take place. So with that, I've been able to solve a problem that can easily present to the government in my country, to show them that, oh, these are the areas that are prone to this electoral violence. So next time an election is coming, make sure to put in security operative in this area. So that is one of the importance of NLP. And that is why data is gold. Without data, I couldn't have been able to do that research. So there is also government gazettes There are also open access research papers. So that is for text. For speech, you can get data from call center recordings, people that are always calling to maybe um, lodge complaints or do something that are calling. This data can be stored in a database and be collected. Community radio archives. People who usually call radio stations, this their data can be collected. Podcast snippets, data can be collected. And when these data are collected, you can use it to products, build product that can solve problem. For example, you can have a local radio station which speaks a native language that is not so readily available, and people are always calling who speak that language. With that, you can collect a whole lot of data on that language and use it to build products for speakers of this language. So that's an example of data collection and why data is gold. Without data again, you can't solve this problem. The multimodal form of data source, which is like your YouTube. On YouTube, you can collect both video data and voice data. So it's like a two-in-one source of data. So there are a whole lot of ways you can collect this data that you need. And you can even go hands on to the field, meet people, interview them, and collect data one on one from them. Maybe they're speaking to a recorder and you record their voices. It's also a form of data collection, and data is gold. Always remember that. That's why most of the time people fight and people are always struggling to like get data and they keep it, they hoard it, because without data we can't build this product. And even data collection is a huge industry. It's a very huge industry. So now when you're looking at collecting this data, most people go on to collect data and use it, and sometimes it may not be a good thing because they are infringing on people privacy. So it's very, very important to receive consent while collecting this data. So have inform people when you want to collect their data. For example, maybe you are going onto the field to get people data. You don't just shove a recorder in their face and tell them to speak. You need to make them understand why you are collecting their data, explain the whole thing you are trying to do, the everything that is going to entail, and also anonymize it. Make sure it is anonymous, because not everybody will be okay with their details being out in public. So you don't want things like their names in it, their location where they stay, or things that can infringe on their privacy. So having this approval is very important. And that's why I said data collection is a very huge industry. Nowadays we see fights on data, this company selling people data, the company whose social media you use selling to another company. So it's a very, very huge industry. But infringing on people privacy is not a good thing. So so collecting approval or people consent before you collect data is very important. Then another thing we should look out for in collecting in building this product is that you should try not to be biased in your data collection, because remember, data is the bedrock with which you build this product. So which means that um you'd want to collect data that is not biased. Gender balance is very important. As much as you're collecting from a man, you're collecting from a woman. Maybe um you're asking questions based on a particular perspective. You don't just collect this data based on the response of a particular gender or a particular race, but you try to make it fair and balanced and collect this data across all, and know that okay, you're collecting from everyone's opinion, everyone's view. Remember there was a time when at the beginning when ChatGPT started raining, in which you ask ChatGPT, show me a picture of a of a black man wearing a suit, and it's usually have a hard time generating that image, but it will always give you like a picture of a white man wearing a suit. So, and it's brought up a whole lot of issues then as to what kind of data is being used to train this model, because it's showing bias. Because are you telling me you cannot see a black person wearing a suit? So those kind of thing, you don't want, you are trying to solve a problem, but you don't want to be creating a problem at the end of the day as well. So try as much as possible to make sure there is a balance in your data collection. So you remember your model will never be smarter or fairer than the data you actually feed into it. Is your data that makes up your model, how good your model will be or how better it's going to be. Without a good data, you cannot magically build a good product. So so your data collection, very very important. Collecting the data from the right people, and also making sure the data was consented properly. Make sure these people actually consent to giving you their data, and also if they ask to withdraw from, they don't want their data to be used, kindly not proceed, just don't use it. So that's the right way to do things, and that's just the ethical side of building products. So another thing you would want to look at as well um is hallucination. So hallucination is a very, it can be a big problem, because when your model is hallucinating, hallucination simply means your model is generating false things and giving it out as a response. So hallucination is when your a data, for example, isn't trained. Like you didn't use a particular data to train your model, and someone is asking about that thing. So for example, um you are selling books. You have a website that is selling books. And you want people to always ask about a book or ask questions relating to books. So now then someone now comes and the person says, oh, I want to buy this car. What your model will do, your model will not tell them that I don't know about car. It's going to just generate a false thing that does not exist and say, oh, we have a car called blah blah blah, and this is misleading. So now it means when you're building your product, you would actually want to train it to have a suitable response when a customer goes out of scope. That, oh, I actually am not, I don't have the power to recommend the car for you because this is a bookstore. Something like that, as simple as that, is enough. And this will beat the concept of hallucination, because hallucination can be it can be a huge problem if your product is misleading people and giving out facts that doesn't exist. So if you notice, if you try to, for example, people who work as researchers, or even students who are trying to research an assignment their lecturer give them, and they need references, and they tell ChatGPT, give me a reference for this particular topic. Most likely, ChatGPT will generate false reference that doesn't exist. And when when you use those references, there's no how the lecturer will know this is wrong, because there's nothing like this. There's no research like this ever before. So try to look at the as hallucination when building your product is very, very important. You don't want to give false or misleading facts. So, um, moving on. So yeah, so these are key characteristics of hallucination. Um, you can see no verifiable link to training data, retrieval tools, and there will most likely be uncertainty in what your model gives out. So moving on, okay, for fine tuning, okay, let me just walk us through what fine tuning is. So one technique you can use in NLP to build products is fine tuning. And what is fine tuning? Fine tuning is actually the process of taking a pre trained model and training it on a specific data set. So let me break this down. So, for example, you are trying to build um, a product for okay, you're trying to build a product for a car based company, and you want it to answer questions relating to the kind of cars you sell in the organization. You want any customer who comes and say, oh, I'm trying to make a specific choice on the car type of car to use to for this your NLP model to be able to answer them accurately. So now I want it to you want this model to be able to, like, you want this product that you are building to be able to answer in a vast number of languages. So you don't want to build from scratch. You don't want to start training from scratch, because training from scratch means that you need a whole lot of data for the model to become accurate. So nowadays, people fine tune. So fine tune means that you take an existing model, like you take a ChatGPT model, for example. ChatGPT model was trained on like almost all the world data, right? They scraped a lot of things from the internet, scraped a lot of things, like they got data from a whole lot of places. So the model is like very, very accurate, is able to answer most things. So, but it is generalized. So now you took that model, that ChatGPT model, then you now use this model, you now train it on your own data, which is only about cars, like only about all the cars in the world, everything about cars, the perfect recommendation, on and on. Like this data is very, very is specific to cars alone, and you train it. So now it means you're taking the model from generalization to specificity, making it more specific to a task. And you now name this model, like maybe you give it a name, your car model, or something. Like it's no more ChatGPT. It is now it now adds a new identity. Maybe you call it Car GPT. You call it Car GPT, like because it is just about car. That is what fine tuning is. So fine tuning is taking an existing model that is generalized and making it specific to a task, adapting it for a particular use case. And that's what most organizations use now to create their AI products. Nobody is training their model from scratch, because when you look at it, you don't have the resource to build a model as accurate as OpenAI or Gemini. Those people have powerful GPUs, they have powerful laptop, they have powerful everything to build those products. So instead, you take their model and you fine tune your data on it and make it very accurate. Fine tuning works well because now it is very accurate. It also tones down on your model hallucinating on something. For example, you can ask ChatGPT about a particular thing. Maybe you have a particular car that was released in 2025. Remember, ChatGPT data is limited to a certain year. So, and you ask ChatGPT that question that, oh, which car was released last month? ChatGPT will just formulate a wrong answer and give you. But this your car GPT now because it has been trained on your own data set. It will give you accurately the car that you're asking about, the model, the year, every detail you need. So now it is ready for your own use case. That is fine tuning. So you can start with a model, just pick a model that works for the use case you want to. You know, there are different models. There are models for machine translation, there are models for question and answering, there are models for sentiment analysis. So for your own use case, pick a model that works in line, a general model that works in line with that. You can always take a model from Hugging Face, then train it on your data sets. And with that, you have a fine-tuned model that you can ship into a product. So basically, that's what fine-tuning is about. Now, I just want us to picture a chatbot case study in when you want to build an NLP product. So first of all, the first step toward building an NLP product, you is the ideation stage. Ideation stage is looking for the problem you are trying to solve. Okay, for example, we expected 50,000 past support tickets. Cluster them and discover that payment reference are not found. Up to 23% complaints. Now, this is a problem. You are looking at your support tickets that your customer care has been using. You've done all your analysis, and what you discovered was that payment reference is not found, and up to 23% of your customers is making this complaint. Now you want to look for a solution, which is automation. You are trying to automate a process. You're trying to make this a seamless process. Now, next is your design stage. You remember, this is a chatbot you are trying to build. You are trying to build a chatbot that can solve this problem because you want to always automate it so that next time when this comes up again, you don't have to start looking for the solution. So next is your design stage. How are you designing this your chatbot? You are going to craft how the dialogue will go. So when you are building a chatbot, you want your chatbot to be friendly as possible. So you think about how it will go from your greeting to capturing the reference ID of that customer, confirming the status of that customer. So for example, you know that your customer actually prefer a friendly informal tone. Maybe you're building it in Amharic language, so you can write prompts that can actually give this language in a way that is informal based on how you know your customer to be. So now you've gone from your ideation stage in which you identify the problem, you know what the problem is, and you know that okay, you're trying to build this solution, to now crafting how the whole dialogue is going to flow. Then now the next thing is the development stage. You are training your model. So you are using data to actually train this model, and you have maybe 800 labeled example of this your data, and you already pick the model that you want to use. Maybe you're using Afro LM model, and you train it. Basically, this is the development stage. Now you've gone from
I think our guests is having some connection problems. We'll wait a while until she joins. I think she joined right now. Yeah.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, yes, we can hear you.
Okay. I'm sorry, I lost my connection.
It's fine. It's fine.
Okay, I'm going to share my screen again now.
Okay.
Can you see my screen?
Yes, yes, it is visible.
Yes, I can see your screen.
Okay, okay, all right. Okay, so like I said, let me just go over it a bit. So we are trying to build a chatbot here, right? So the first stage, we identify the problem we are trying to solve, and what we want it to entail, the things we're trying to solve basically. Then we go to the design stage, crafting how we want the dialogue to be in the language we want. Then the development stage where you train the model to be able to solve this problem. Then next the deployment stage in which we are trying to deploy um, the the solution into a use case or into a product basically. Maybe you are trying to integrate it into a WhatsApp as a like WhatsApp chatbot, or into the website as a bot that pops up on the website. So basically shipping it into a product. So we move from idea stage down to the deployment stage, and that's just basically how shipping an NLP product works. So, moving on. Now, what are the toolkits we need when trying to build this NLP product? First, we need the models, right? And we can use popular open source models from Hugging Face. So Hugging Face is a platform that holds models like AI models that can solve a whole lot of use case in AI, not only for NLP, can solve a whole lot of use case in AI, from NLP to computer vision to different kind of use case. So it holds a whole lot of model, and you can always go there, look for your perfect model that you need to build the products in your organization. Yeah, a whole lot. You can see Bet, T5, Whisper, AfroHelm. And something about Hugging Face is that you can also build a model and deploy it on Hugging Face for others to use. So for example, maybe you train the model with 1 million Amharic voice user, you can actually put it out there as an open source model for people who are trying to build a product in that language as well, to have access to it. Then um, you can need a model like Spacey. So Spacey is for NLP. It's actually an organization that builds this Spacey product, and Spacey is usually used for name entity recognition, POS tagging. So there are also techniques that are useful in NLP as well. Then another thing, toolkit that you would need while building an NLP product um, is libraries like PyTorch or TensorFlow. So there are libraries that work with NLP that can help you when you are trying to train your models. So moving on, now, how do you evaluate how good your model is? There are different metrics, but you need to pick the metric that fits your task. Remember, all of these things are task specific. A model that works for machine translation is not the same model that you would use for summarization. It's also different from the model used from sentiment analysis. So um So there are different metrics as well, depending on the task you are doing, whether you are doing a sentiment analysis or you are doing a machine translation task. So there's accuracy, there is F1 score, there is blue, there's word error rate, there's rogue, and this is not limited to this. There are a whole lot of metrics. So you can always check for your metrics cheat sheet online and look for the metric that work with a task you are working on. Then there's also human in the loop validation. So you don't want to totally leave your model to do all the work, because at the end of the day, LLM cannot be fully trusted. Models cannot be fully trusted. So you need a human to also be in the loop of everything that is going on, validating things. So domain experts are needed that can correct output, approve output, see how it goes. If you also need to retrain some of this data, retrain some of this model, you need to work on the data. Maybe the data that are being fed in are wrong. Everything all happens in the human in the loop validation. Then another thing you want to look at is the responsible AI checkpoints, because you want to make sure your product is fair. It is fair, meaning that it gives the correct output. It is it gives the correct outputs, maybe in your dialect, in the gender-based question, in socioeconomic things. It is fair. We also want it to be robust, meaning that when you build a product, or you want a model, for example, a customer is speaking in a noisy background, you don't want a model to not be able to decipher what the customer is saying and be mistaking the noise for what the customer is saying. So you want it to be robust enough to be able to understand things to a large extent. Then the privacy again, you need to make sure that your product is not divulging people privacy. Maybe if the data was, for example, your data was built using data, your product was was built using data from people, and it was not completely anonymized, and the people name are being churned out in the requests that are being asked. This can infringe on their privacy. So you want to make sure it's not, it's completely de-anonymized, and all of this makes up responsible AI checkpoints. So now the resources you need to delve into NLP. If you want to go into NLP fully, and you like want to understand, you want to go hands on, like you want to really build, you want to code all of this, you want to build a product with NLP, I recommend you take the Hugging Face NLP course. So it's a very beginner friendly course. It was really broken down for people to understand it to the most basic level, how to actually build with NLP. So there are also other courses as well, like the Fast AI Practical Deep Learning course. And it's not limited to this, but these are just two I'm going to recommend here. But when you check online, there are a whole lot of resources to learn NLP from, but these are just my recommendation. Then another thing you should look into is to plug into communities. I'm not really familiar with the Ethiopian AI community, but I'm sure there will be community that focused on data collection, that focused on NLP research. So we have Masakani. Masakani is not is an African based community. You can always check them out on LinkedIn and Twitter. So it's a African based community that collaborates with people around Africa, trying to build models that powers this African AI product. So you can always join them on Slack and sign up for a paper reading group or volunteer as a data set collector or write a research together. So then there is also Tornative. Although Tornative is much more inclined to Nigeria, but they're also trying to solve the problem of data collection for Africans generally, and they collect languages from across different African countries. And I'm sure there will be some in Ethiopia as well. You can always join to actually build this product that powers NLP for Africans. So, and with this, I come to the end of my talk, and this is me again, Flora Oladipupo, also known as Flora the AI girl, and I create content. I'm a data scientist and also an AI researcher, and I also create content in AI. So you can always check me out on TikTok and Instagram, where I create video content relating to AI. I also write on it, and you can also check me out on LinkedIn, where I post articles relating to AI, and also Twitter as well. And thank you for having me in this session. I'm also open to questions.
Okay, thank you, Flora. That was an incredible session. It was so much insightful. And thank you for accepting our invitation and taking your time to craft such an incredible session. So I think we will have 15 minutes for Q&A. So if you guys have any questions, you could drop it in the chat, or you could unmute yourself and ask away. So if anyone has questions. Okay. Naomi said, why did you decide to work in the AI field, specifically NLP?
Okay. For me, I actually like have a flair for language. Like I enjoy the whole language thing because I feel like Africa is still behind on that. We have a whole lot of work to do, and we need individuals, we need everyone to actually close this gap.
Okay, I think any other questions? Mahatot said, thank you. It was an amazing session. I learned a lot. Uh, I think, okay. I think, so I think, thank you so much for the session. It was really insightful. Yeah, thank you guys for joining. Thank you, Flora. I think we will let you go. Let's not take up much of your time. The others, so please, I will send the attendance form link here. I'll also will be sending our social links. So please bear with me. Let me copy the form link here so you could fill out the attendance and our social links as well.
Sorry, network went off again.
It's fine. It's fine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So let me
So I
answer the question from Naomi, which said why I chose to work
oh
in
okay.
NLP. So
Yeah.
basically, what I was trying to say is that we actually need, we are still like, there's still a whole lot of gap in our NLP research in Africa, because when you look at it, for example, if you say, okay, more attention should be diverted to other aspects, like maybe computer vision, and you make a computer vision and you accurately capture an African, and you're like, tell this African to speak an African language, for example, Yoruba, and it's not able to speak it, then what's the whole point of that product? So we actually need to solve that language gap to a large extent, and it's individuals like you and I that can actually solve it, because we are the ones speaking these languages, we are the human behind it, so it's our data that is needed. So that's why my attention is mainly on NLP than other aspects, although I work with other aspects when needed, but like my main area of research and focus like is majorly NLP.
Okay. Thank you. We have other questions as well. So Mahatot said she got two questions. Okay, the first one is, as you mentioned earlier, why does ChatGPT give wrong references? The first one. The second question is it okay to use ChatGPT for research publications or uni thesis documentations?
So the first question says um why ChatGPT give wrong references, right?
Yes, yes.
Okay. Okay. So for that, ChatGPT was not actually like based for, it's not actually built mainly for research, like as a substitute to do your research for you. Remember I said ChatGPT is a generalized model. It was
Yeah.
built like on a whole lot of data. So it's not
Mm.
like it was built to be an assistant researcher. So which means that when you ask it, oh, provide me references for say a particular research you're trying to do. Maybe you are doing a research on, maybe you're a medical student and you are doing a research on like cancer as an example. So that kind of thing, it has tendency to hallucinate, because it could just randomly pick up a name from another task, or a totally different thing that is not actually like for cancer research, and give it to you and say this thing at all, because it's a generalized model, so it has tendency to hallucinate. But imagine you now come down and build a specified model, like you fine tune your own model on research papers relating to your work. Here now, the model has now been specified, like it is now much more specific. So it can now, like to an extent, give you accurate names, accurate references. But actually, we should not do that, because it's not really ethical, because LLM cannot be trusted 100%. LLM can always fail. It can. That's why when I said our metric, we should always have a human validator. LLM, which you train today, which shows much accuracy and all, can fail tomorrow and disappoint you, and do a whole lot of things that are bad for you. So that's why you are not actually supposed to rely on facts with LLM. Like you should not do that. You should actually still go as a human and look for whatever answer you are seeking for. You actually need to pack out, like you need to go the extra mile to look for that on your own. Recently, Sama from OpenAI, one of the founders of ChatGPT, recently put a post on his Twitter where he was cautioning people on the model they are about to release, which he said people should not like feed it personal data, or if you decide to do so, it's at your own risk. So imagine a person who built it telling you that, giving you that strong warning. It's because they know the danger side of it. They know that this is not 100% accurate or all that to rely on. So this thing is supposed to be our assistant, not the one actually doing the main work for you. So try as much as possible to still do your own research and not just um get your references or get do your task with ChatGPT alone. So I think there was a second question.
Yes,
I,
yes.
okay. Did I answer
Mm,
that or
yeah, it was clear. I thought maybe you could react with an emoji. We could go to the next question. So, Nagar said, "How does one?" Okay, Mahatos reacted, so it's clear, I guess. So, getting back to the question, how does one practice practically? The session covers on basic theoretical part, and also what are the basic requirements to learn, and how can one specialize in it?
okay, so if you want to get started in NLP, the first thing first I would say everyone should go to do is know how to code in Python. So if you are like a total newbie, this is your first interaction with learning, I would say you should first learn the basic, which is Python. At least learn a programming language. And Python is like the best programming language you can learn from for tasks relating to AI and NLP. So once you're done learning Python, you can now learn all the other foundational details about these models that powers up this AI. So starting with learning about um, starting from the data science aspect, which is learning about the traditional machine learning models and the different algorithms there. You can always take a course on that. Then after working on project building, knowing what it means to train a model, you can go to other aspects like deep learning, learn also about using frameworks like TensorFlow, PyTorch. So from there, you can now like be much more specialized into like NLP and take the Hugging Face course, which I recommend. So you can check, just type Hugging Face NLP course on your laptop and you can then go into it. But if you actually like understand all those basic, you understand um, Python, you understand the basic of data science and all, you can just go right up to learning taking the Hugging Face NLP course, then building projects on it. So those projects help you make sure that you actually know the skill to a great extent. So then you are good to go. Once you have experience with building this project, you are good to go in working on any NLP task, any related task. It could you can decide to go into research, you could decide to go into building products. So, but basically have a good grasp and understanding of it first.
Okay. Thank you. So, guys, any other question? Um, I think that would be it, I guess. Yeah. So thank you, Flora, for this incredible session again. Um, Thank you all for joining. I think, oh, I'm gonna, oh, I'm sorry, we have another question. Really sorry. So, what conference do you recommend? So, Naomi said, what
Okay.
conference do you recommend? Yeah.
Okay, so for conferences, okay, I don't want to mention conferences in my country, Nigeria, but I'm sure in Ethiopia there will be conferences. But on a global level, like Africa to Africa, there are conferences like the Deep Learning in Daba.
Okay.
So the Deep Learning in Daba is a very good conference to attend on high, because here you can see a whole lot of researchers, see a whole lot of AI developers, people who are building and working in the AI field, who you can always interact with, share your ideology, see what they are working on, rub mind together and know like the next step, or in fact find a collaborator to build things together with at the conference. So Deep Learning in Daba is a very interesting and good conference to attend if you are building in this space. And I think there is Indaba X in Ethiopia. So Indaba X is the local version of deep learning Indaba. It happens in every individual African country. Like there's Indaba X Nigeria, there's Indaba X Ghana, there's Indaba X in almost all the African countries. So there should
Okay.
also be Indaba X in Ethiopia. So you can look at these conferences. Then on a major like international level, there are also conferences like outside of the shores of Africa, like the NeurIPS conference. So NeurIPS conference is one of the prominent AI conference where most of these milestones in AI is like announced or presented. So NeurIPS is there. It's holding in USA this year. And then there is ICLR. There's also ICML, International Conference of Machine Learning. So there are a whole lot of conference you can always attend where you can see all this being built and showcased there. So that's it.
Okay. Thank you. Uh, Before we wrap up, uh, is there any other questions? I don't think so. So, Flora, thank you again. um, I'm gonna let you go. Let me not take much of your time. Thank you for your incredible effort for this session.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. Um, so for the others, I have shared an attendance form in the chat. So you could fill out that form, and we will send you the resources from this session through via email. So please fill out the form. The other thing is, I will send our link tree here, which contains all our social media, which is Twitter, LinkedIn, and YouTube. So don't forget to follow us there as well. So I think, okay, let me share her Flora's LinkedIn. Um, I think if you guys already filled out the form, that is a wrap for today's session. Thank you everyone for joining. Thank you.